Hey there, Pop Rocks! Welcome to Enthusiastic Encouragement and Dubious Advice, the podcast for folks who would rather curl into the fetal position than lean in. I'm your host, Patricia Elsie Tuttle.
And I have a whole lot of feelings about everything that is going on right now. I'm Nicole Elsie Tuttle. We're recording the show on April 10th, 2025.
So much has happened since we last chatted.
Yeah, we took an episode off.
We took an episode off because at least when we were supposed to be recording, we were in New York City.
Yeah, we were celebrating Patricia Ween.
Patricia Ween. I actually,
No?
Maybe.
Patricia Mass?
Patricia Mess? Patricica? Anyway, we were celebrating my birthday in New York, and we got to see some friends of mine. We got to see Audra McDonald in Gypsy. She was phenomenal.
Yeah, you lost it in the first 10 seconds.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure I blacked out for about 4 bars during one of her big songs. I don't know, time traveled. I don't know.
Yeah.
We saw Redwood with Idina Menzel.
We did?
We did. That was a show.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And we had some amazing bagel sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Murray's Bagels.
Yeah. My bagel sandwich had a latke in the bagel sandwich. Phenomenal.
On top of like egg and
sausage and bacon and cheese. Like
Yeah.
It was very
not kosher.
And it was very delicious. And we took the subway around a bunch of places.
Oh, yeah, no, Subway was pretty easy because we stayed near Grand Central Station.
We did. We stayed at the Library Hotel, which is a hotel where every room is a Dewey Decimal number.
Yes. We stayed in the
African Religions room.
Yes.
Yeah. And so each room also had a little bit of art in there, but it had about 40 to 50 curated books on that subject of that room. So we were also on the religions floor.
Yes. Now, the Library Hotel is also about a block away from the New York Public Library Central Library branch.
Yeah, from the 5th Avenue, 42nd Street branch, the one with the 2 lions in front. So we went down there, we went to the library store, and we got to meet some celebrities.
Oh, we did. That's right.
Which were Winnie the Pooh and friends, the original plushies that A.A. Milne based his stories off of. They tore around to different museums and galleries and stuff, and they were on display at the library.
Well, it was everybody except Little
Rue. Yeah.
Little Rue got lost in an apple orchard about 100 years ago and never came back.
That's both horrifying and sounds kind of like a Rue thing to do.
Yeah.
Also, Piglet, hecka small.
Yeah, that's why Piglet's so small.
Oh my gosh.
He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy. Every time I think about him, I get tears in my eyes. He's so small.
And also, yeah, Eeyore does look sad.
Yeah. Honestly, I got tears in my eyes just seeing them there because I didn't expect to see them there.
Yeah, we're looking at some other stuff.
Yeah. It was, I'm getting all verklempt now. But that was, New York. I'm posting pictures on my Instagram finally. I post the pictures after we already get home.
Yeah.
And also, I recently went out of my comfort zone. And I went to a Women and Femmes of Color Entrepreneurs and Creatives networking event. And so, I've made some connections, and I just want to pat myself on my back for getting out of my comfort zone. It is something I bought the ticket a few weeks ago, and then when I woke up on Sunday, I was like, I don't want to do this thing. But you know what? Past me did me a solid.
Yeah, and hey to anyone who met Patricia at that event.
And the other thing is, I feel like I've been doing a lot of yapping already.
Yes.
I brought you to a Patti LuPone concert on Saturday.
You did. It was a show.
She had a cold, but she was, I mean, it's Patti LuPone. She's so phenomenal that at one point she turned to blow her nose and the audience started applauding. And she turned around and gave like everyone, like she laughed and she gave everyone a look like, what is wrong with you? But I'm like, just imagine being so amazing that people applaud when you're blowing your nose.
Yeah, yeah. Also, this was in Berkeley, and maybe the whole of the Castro district was
There. Yeah.
that night.
And the whole premise of the show was she called it Songs from a Hat. And she had 35 pieces of paper, each with a song in a top hat. And she would just pick out the songs. And whatever she would pick out, that's what she would sing.
She would also let some people in the audience pick a song.
Yes.
And one person...
Out of the hat.
Out of the hat, yes. Not off a list. Out of the hat. And one person picked one and handed it to her and said, I hope it's a good one.
And the whole theater, I don't know how many people sit in this theater. It's a massive theater, 3 tiers, orchestra, mezzanine, balcony. You could hear a pin drop. And Patti LuPone took the piece of paper and was like, what do you think would be a good one? And everyone just in our seats, absolute silence, because we were all mortified on behalf of this person. And this person was not answering. And she's like, oh, look, he's getting shy. No, really, everyone in this theater wants to know what you would think is a good one.
Poor man.
I almost died of secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, why would you say that to Patti LuPone? But of course, finally, someone shouted out the ladies who lunch, and that's what it was. And brilliant, wonderful, ended with a bang. So,
yeah, I had a fun time trying to figure out if I had seen that song in a show before or not.
Yeah, I knew most of the songs, but I was wondering, like, some of the songs you recognized and some you didn't.
And some took a few minutes because it was totally out of context.
That too.
Oh, hey, we have a Patreon.
We do have a Patreon.
I want you all to subscribe to our Patreon.
That'd be so wonderful. We have a great little community over there with our weekly check-ins.
With our helpful helpers.
Our helpful helpers. And our enthusiastic encouragers.
Oh, we can't forget our enthusiastic encouragers. They encourage so enthusiastically.
And we are going to announce the new tier during our next show. We finally figured out like kind of what we want to do. And so just saying it out loud right now is really going to get a fire under us to get it together. And we will announce it on our next show, which is in 2 weeks.
This isn't going to be like a fire under us like in Redwood, is it?
Redwood the musical?
Yeah.
No, it better not be.
Like a sleeping in a tree?
Nope, stop. Nope.
No.
We're just gonna leave that musical as it is.
Okay. You want to tell us about the bookshop?
I do want to tell you about the bookshop. As all of you, I'm sure, are doing your best to not buy books from places like Amazon or Target, may I suggest Bookshop, and may I suggest our affiliate shop on Bookshop, which we have linked at edapod.com, and we have linked in the show notes, where we mention, or actually we link all the books that we have mentioned in the show, as well as books I've mentioned in the Enthusiastic Encouragement and Dubious Advice newsletter. And you can shop them in our affiliate bookshop and get the books, and then support us, support independent bookstores. And Bookshop now also does ebooks, which is really cool.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. So today is one of those days when we're going to talk about something that we are each working on in our own ways and will probably always be working on. I don't think these are things that can really, like, that perfection is attainable or even desirable. We're going to talk about being scared of feelings. Mostly our own feelings, but sometimes other people's too.
Now, we do not have it all figured out, but we're gonna share with you what we've got figured out so far.
In the Enthusiastic Encouragement and Dubious Advice Newsletter, Volume 6, Resources 8, which I will link in the show notes, I shared a blog post written by Cameron Taylor Melton for Therapy for Black Girls. And the blog post is titled, Sitting with Your Emotions, What Your Therapist Means and How to Do It. And it's very helpful.
We understand how important this is academically. It builds resilience. Actually naming your emotions can reduce the intensity of them, and you can learn about your own triggers and patterns and needs.
Also, if you continually keep your feelings all bottled up, they're just going to show up in other ways. Could be outbursts at loved ones or coworkers, could be physical illness or chronic pain, or a myriad other really undesirable ways.
Yeah, you don't want to end up like that one guy on Inside Out who just had like a head full of anger.
Too late.
Like I said, academically, I get it. But I am not always the best at this, practically speaking.
Yeah, same. In my many years, I have heard and even said myself that feelings are scary. Sometimes it's literally just that phrase, like feelings are scary. Or I've had a friend say that they're scared to write down their feelings, like in a journal or a letter, because if they write them down, then they'll be real, and that's scary. Or maybe it's avoiding having a conversation because they're afraid they'll cry, or they're afraid the other person will cry. And every one of us is just a haunted house of emotions.
Spooky emotion.
No.
is that a floating sheet, or is it just old
Man Withers?
Old Man Withers with joy.
Old Sad Man Withers.
Old Sad Man Withers. Aw. He would have gotten away with it too.
If it weren't for that Lexapro.
Aw. I know a big part of this for me is that having big feelings can be uncomfortable. And frankly, I don't always want to deal with that. I've got a lot of other things I want to do. So I'm just gonna avoid those feelings.
I will avoid feeling my feelings by intellectualizing them or by keeping busy. The feelings can't catch me if I keep moving. Or I will just have a laugh. Why have feelings when I can have jokes?
Yeah, I know for me, like intellectualizing my feelings really allows me to distance myself from them. In some ways, when I'm doing this, I feel kind of like some sort of feelings bird watcher, like, yes, look, that appears to be some sort of red-cheeked anger that I am experiencing. And like, when I'm doing this, I'm not present with that feeling. And like, yes, I'm feeling it, but I'm not like feeling it, if that makes sense. It's just like, yep, that's, look at that. Anger. Anyways, I've got a work email to respond to.
Yeah. As with many things, I'm trying to approach this idea of scary feelings with curiosity. We use the word scary, and we often associate that word with danger or something being harmful or being unsafe.
Or a Spice Girl?
You know, I am not going to go on my rant about the black one being called scary, but just know I can.
Oh yeah, no, it's good too. Maybe that'll be in one of our like
paid
episodes.
Paid episodes.
That'll go on EEDA nights.
EEDA rants.
Oh no, EEDA rants. There are definitely people who are in situations where it would be unsafe for them to show their feelings, good or bad. In our household, we do talk a lot about how toxic masculinity limits the range of feelings that are acceptable for men, and this is both good and bad.
Hey, fellas, is it gay to be excited?
According to some, yes.
Oh. As a black person, especially a black femme, I am used to having my emotions policed in the workplace and also having to be very mindful. Even if I say disagree with something with a smile on my face, some people will still read it as anger or aggressiveness or whatever.
I'm just sorry. I'm just like, your joy is so good. And like, I have this picture of you being like at Disneyland with like a corn dog and like a Coke and like in line for, I don't know, Space Mountain or something, and just like having the best day. And someone's like, oh, why is she so angry?
Yeah, it's wild. Racism is wild.
All this to say, we recognize that there are situations as well as social expectations that keep people from expressing their feelings, but also like really having them.
Yeah, even acknowledging them. What we really want to get at is when we are avoiding feelings in a space that is relatively safe with a loved one you trust, or writing in a journal or notebook, or even in therapy. My previous therapist would give me a look because she could physically see me intellectualizing my feelings in real time right there in our session. And it wasn't necessarily a negative look. I absolutely adored her. It was just kind of like like she could physically see
Yeah.
me up in my head.
Yeah. And this is where, like, again, we want you to get curious. When you say your feelings are scary, what do you mean? What are you scared of? What are you afraid is going to happen?
Yeah, that last one's a good one because often what say you're afraid is going to happen is something that's unrealistic or even irrational. Like saying, if I start crying, I'm afraid I won't stop. Realistically, at some point, you're going to get dehydrated or tire yourself out and go to sleep. I think a lot about all my grief, and sure, I feel like crying more than I do, and grief doesn't end, but the crying does not last 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're that one girl that 9 Days was singing about, like back in 2000.
You had to look up that band was called 9 Days.
Yeah,
I had never heard that in my life.
I
I
know.
know the
I
song.
know the song. Yeah. Y'all go look it up. It's really catchy. It's stuck in your head. You mentioned earlier also being scared of other people's feelings. For example, like avoiding conversations because the other person might cry or be upset.
Yeah, that's a tough one. People can be bringing a lot of their own baggage to the table when they say that one, especially if they grew up in a home where they constantly had to navigate and tiptoe around the feelings of emotionally immature adults. For me, like, if I share something difficult with you, I really have to ground myself in my trust for you. Trust that while you may have negative feelings, those won't turn into negative behavior.
And this, I just want to acknowledge, can be a lot harder in professional settings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's also a lot around feeling feelings that is passed down through culture. A really obvious place to see this is evident in the discomfort that white people experience, both like trying to hide their own emotions or trying to not show emotions, but also when they encounter other people being less restrained with their feelings in public. And this is likely partly or more than partly due to the export of British Stoicism, which you may have also heard of as the stiff upper lip, through colonization. And while we don't revere that Stoicism as much today, or we really should not be revering that kind of Stoicism, many white people still have a preference for restraint in public, and they can get real uncomfortable or, funny enough, have a lot of feelings about it when others, especially non-white people, do not abide by such cultural norms of restraint.
I have so much to say about this. First of all, something that we don't have in the script, but I'm reminded of listening to this. is about white women weaponizing tears,
Oh, yeah.
especially in public or in the workplace.
Yeah, well, you have to be, as a white person, so restrained all the time. So if you're having tears, like,
Someone's going to pay.
that's a major thing.
Yeah. And then the other thing is you mentioned not revering Stoicism. So in my gig where I recommend books, I see thousands of books that are coming out all the time. And I am sorry to burst your bubble, but there's a whole entire reverence around Stoicism. There are so many books and videos and exalting of Stoicism right now. I'm aware of it because of the books, but it's really attached to alpha male culture, which is something that we don't have in our bubbles. And so Stoicism is a whole thing, and it's a little bit scary.
It makes me incredibly sad.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'm reminded of finally is thinking about people being uncomfortable with big feelings. I think about the group of Black women who were on the wine train tour in Napa, and people complained and got them kicked off the train because they were laughing too loud and having fun.
They're having too much fun.
Yeah, I laugh loudly. And I've definitely gotten stares in public because I'm laughing loudly.
Yeah, you are not being restrained enough in your emotions. Your feelings are too big sometimes. Your joy.
I am sorry. I am just too funny and I crack myself up.
Gonna connect these dots to one more thing as we kind of are connecting the dots a little bit away from our central, or I guess maybe around our central idea here. This particular area really has like a direct connection to tone policing, which is criticizing or devaluing the way someone is speaking, or saying something, instead of actually addressing what they are saying.
Absolutely. You know, women are too emotional to lead or be president.
Were you all able to hear how loud my eyes just rolled right now? Thinking about all these men out here having mantrums?
Mantrums?
You about fell off the couch when I said that the first time.
It's a good word.
It is.
It's a good word.
Like, whew.
Well, and all this conversation is also like, in a weird way, is having feelings, is feeling your feelings anti-white supremacy. Feeling your feelings anti-patriarchy, right? Like,
and just like experiencing them, sharing them, and having big feelings publicly.
Yeah, well, like we have in our home, like joy is an act of resistance, and we're not necessarily talking about like cisgender straight people here. Like trans joy is resistance, Black joy is resistance, because there's so many people out there that don't want these circles and communities of people to not have that.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it back around to feelings being scary, and note that it's worth examining each situation and realizing that sometimes when we're saying we're like scared of these feelings or we're feeling scared, we are actually safe and it's going to be okay. And I'm going to ask here, instead of feeling afraid, are we just feeling uncomfortable instead?
Or afraid of discomfort.
Or, well, yeah. Like, are we edging being near discomfort, and that's what like is pushing us away from that?
Yeah. And then I'm going to say it, and then you can do it scared. You can be scared of your feelings and still have them and do the scary thing. And you can have that scary conversation where you cry or the other person cries because you're not going to die from crying.
Maybe you both cry together.
Maybe it's a team challenge.
It's a team effort. It's a group.
It's a group project.
It's a group project, yeah.
If I'm crying, everyone else around me's crying.
Yeah, it happens like that sometimes.
It does happen like that. It be like that
It
sometimes.
do be like that sometimes. And I'm going to say this, the more time you spend with your feelings, the less scary they will be. I'm going to take another step here. Maybe you can eventually be friends with your feelings.
No, fake news. Maybe you can be. Maybe I at least won't be so terrified of feeling them sometimes. Maybe.
And well, we're not talking about like the laughter and stuff here.
Absolutely. One more thing. As we mentioned earlier, naming the feelings, like actually naming the thing, can help alleviate some of the intensity and therefore some of the scariness. Over the many years of the Enthusiastic Encouragement and Dubious Advice newsletter, I've shared different tools to help you name your feelings. I'm actually going to link each of those issues in the show notes so you have easy access to those resources.
I might just start naming my feelings after weird birds. That's a Blue Wing song sobber.
No, I'm just gonna name my feelings like people names.
Oh, I got a case of the Billies today.
What's wrong? Bruce.
Oh no, Bruce. I don't know. Feeling a bit of Janet today. Or Janice.
Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Whoa. Okay, so we've carried on a bit. Patricia, what do you want to make sure people kind of take away from this?
I think, and this is maybe just my rules for living, and your mileage may vary, but ask why. Why am I scared to feel XYZ? Like, don't maybe question that you are or you are not, but like, why am I scared? What am I afraid will happen? And Nicole, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway here is that you need to get out of your comfort zone with what feelings you allow yourself to experience if you have a habit of saying that you're scared of your feelings. The more time you spend with them, the more comfortable you are going to be feeling them. All right, well. Yeah, just kind of sit with those for a minute.
Yeah.
Patricia,
Yes, Nicole.
what's been filling your cup lately?
You know, our trip to New York was perfect. Dare I say perfect? You know, it went off without a hitch. Everything was on time. We got to do what we wanted to do, see what we wanted to see. There's plenty on our map for us to see next time we go. But I think what's filling me most is that there were a couple friends that maybe I had lost contact with or just hadn't seen in like 20 years. One of them 25 years. And I reached out and I was like, hey, my wife and I are going to be in New York. Are you up to like hang out and see us and meet my wife? And both of them were like immediately, yes, you tell me when and where and I will be there. And I don't know. That's just really filling my cup right now. That I mean, I also just know some really great people. And I know I would do that for them too, right? But just that, you know, decades could pass and they're still like, yeah, where am I meeting you? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Nicole, what's filling your cup?
This trip really did a lot for me as well. A big part of it was just spending all the time with you. I know for the listeners, we're weird and gross to a lot of people, but we legitimately can spend 24 hours a day with each other for weeks on end and just have pure joy in it. But also, this trip was one that we kind of made the decision to do on a whim like a couple months ago. And you were like, I really want to do this thing. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So it really was like for you and your birthday and all those things. And just getting to spend that time with you and see you and your joy in this trip and making it be a reality. Like that was really fulfilling for me.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's our show for today. We'd like to thank the awesome audio editor, Jen Zink, and you can find her at loopdeloo.com. We'll leave a link to that in our show notes.
You can find the full show notes and transcript at eedapod.com. That's EEDAPOD.com. There you can also find a link to our Patreon, our bookshop link, and a link to the ongoing Enthusiastic Encouragement and Dubious Advice newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at EEDAPod, and email us at eedapod@gmail.com.
We are nothing if not consistent.
We would also appreciate it so much if you would subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts that allow ratings. You know, it's been several months since we've had a rating on Apple Podcasts, and we miss you all. If you're out there and you haven't given us a rating or a written review, we miss you. Come stop by our Apple Podcast page. Give us a little 5-star rating there.
Please let us know how we're doing.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing terribly. Like, you could keep that to yourself.
I mean, I don't think we're doing that.
That's fair.
All is to say that anything you can do with giving us ratings or reviews,
or sharing the show,
all of that really helps other people find us and also helps grow our little EEDAPod community.
We would also appreciate anyone who can subscribe to us in that community on Patreon. Support is going to help us keep this show going, especially without ads. You can find us at patreon.com/EEDAPod. In the meantime, we hope you find ways to be kind to yourself, drink some water, and read a book. We'll be talking to you soon.
Gonna miss our friend in New York, Joey Batts.
Joey Batts.
That guy Joey Batts, he makes some good pastry.
Oh, I also had that hot dog, that Snappo Razzo.
Snappo. Joey Batts and the Snappo Razzos.
Oh my God.